concern, I guess, especially if you're an existing owner of an Airbnb, is the government's decision coming January to change on the taxation. So what does that mean for you? It means that as of January 1st, and this is an effort essentially to mitigate how many Airbnbs are out there available and to try to constrict those ones that are in existence. The big announcement here is that they will not be allowing you to deduct the taxes against your revenue. All right, your expenses against your revenue, I should say, for taxation reasons. What does that mean for you? Well, if you're an existing Airbnb owner, let's assume 2 bed, 2 bath, your average value in a condo on that is probably around 800,000. We find the average mortgage is around 500,000 of that. If we're using a conservative interest rate around 6% right now, that means you have $30,000 of mortgage interest that you can now not deduct against your rental income. So if you're making 100 grand beforehand, you'd be deducting at 30 grand. What other expenses? Well, you're also going to have your property taxes. That might be another 3,000. You're going to be looking at things like condo fees. Average condo fee a year, probably another 5,000 on top of that. You're going to have things like utilities. That might be another 5 to 10,000. You probably have insurance on there, especially if it's an Airbnb. You're going to want to make sure you have coverage on that front. What about cleaners, right? Unless you're cleaning it yourself, you probably have a cleaners that are going in every time. So, if you're making 100 grand, you're probably deducting probably around 50 grand of total expenses and paying income tax on that $50,000 remainder. That means now you're going to pay income tax on the full amount if you can't deduct any expenses. If you're in the highest tax bracket, that 50,000 can mean over and upwards of 25 extra grand in income tax for you. That is probably a bit of a discouragement to have or to be looking at purchasing any new future Airbnbs on that front. So an interesting move from the government to try to dissuade, and especially what they're finding is Airbnbs tend to be in high metropolis areas, mostly those areas that have a low availability for rental. So trying to encourage any short-term rental, those owners to look long-term rental. So if you're owning an Airbnb and you're now and seeing in Jan 1, you're not going to be able to deduct any, you can now do a long-term rental.